Good afternoon, everybody. I think this is the wrong time to start a panel discussion just after lunch, but anyway, we have to go on. The topic for the panel is accelerating cloud adoption for financial services. Just to give a background, the way we are going, it's you would have seen in the brochure or something. It's like Industry 4.0 time that's going on. We have crossed over from the age of knowledge to age of intelligence, artificial intelligence, and maybe in the future we are going to the age of wisdom. Maybe it's coming down the line, 10 years down the line. So you see our banks getting into a newer, bank anywhere, anytime. It's like kind of, that's old cliche. They're going to newer areas. Banks themselves, big banks, established banks themselves are starting branchless banking. For example, DBS has Digibank, Mashreq has Neo. A lot of banks have started, big banks are starting branchless banking. A lot of developments are happening, but so looking at this, you think there's a lot of development going on in the industry, and maybe there's a lot of cloud adoption. So cloud is one of the SMAC things highlighted by Gartner and others before. You will feel that maybe cloud is the in thing. Maybe it's getting used a lot and all that. But if you look at financial PFSI in India, especially, the numbers are not that. It doesn't. It's not very encouraging. Meaning, like the way cloud is used in other countries, Western countries, and certain other countries, it's not the same ratio. It's not the same percentage of usage, especially for financial services industry. Actually, you'll be surprised in India, there's a lot of cloud usage by the government, because government has established a lot of things before. NIC is there. They use about of their budget, they use about 10 to 11% of their budget on cloud. Whereas of the whole IT spend of about $42 billion in India, only about Gartner estimates in 2018 figures. Gartner estimates that it's between 4 and 6% only, whereas government is about 10%, right? And so why is this? Why are banks and other financial institutions not stepping up and using the cloud? So wherever there is cloud, you want to do something temporarily and see if it succeeds. That's one way to innovate. So that's not happening in India. So our panel will today discuss what are we doing on the cloud. Okay, and as is what are we doing? Are there any drawbacks? Why are people not going on to cloud? And I will also ask suggestions from the panel later on how to move on to the cloud. But first I'll start off with all the panel members on their experience. So you have Rajendran from NPCI, you have Ashok, and you have Deval from the banks and other institutions. So just first share your experience of going onto the cloud. Where all have you used cloud, whether it's private or public or hybrid? We'll start with you, Rajendran, in your organization.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just wanted to share my experience, how the journey happened. The cloud definitely created a lot of value added to our systems. And if we say that when we started the BEAM operations, when we launched the BEAM, that time we were in initial stage of I'm just talking about a private cloud, but I will talk about a little about what we do with the public cloud also. And we were creating the cloud. We were in the initial stage. And suddenly when the Prime Minister launched the BEAM, suddenly the spike come. Lot of people started downloading and started things. And our people are trying to fix, even bandwidth need to be increased from the 100 MB to 1 gigs. Like that, we started everywhere. We are looking for how to handle the sudden increase of the loads. And so fortunately, we had this cloud being implemented, and that infrastructure helped us to ramp up our the compute and the memory and other requirements, even in on-site, because it's a provision only, we just added VMs and rolled out and handled the situation where it is the to avoid the congestion in the system, and we could able to handle the sudden increase of the load. And if we see the entire pattern of the UPI, it's an exponential growth. So that means you cannot, if you take any turnaround time to create a physical infrastructure, some organizations have a direct procurement, some organizations like us, you need to do the tendering, and tendering takes 3 months, then 3 months for a supply time and installation. Nearly it takes 6 to 9 months to create an infrastructure required for any systems. And so how we will able to handle it? Suppose these cloud systems could able to leverage across other products. Suppose we are meant for something else, but we are not really, we create 1:6 ratios. That means even one VM meant for the 6 services. Like that we created the private cloud. So this cloud will give you a lot of benefits in terms of go to market and take a sudden load and optimize your cost. So instead of in the private, in the dedicated infrastructure, entire infrastructure meant for some services, whether you use it or not, whether the month beginning, the scenarios will be like that. And it has been, so this cloud will reduces your ROI also. So the cloud, when it talks lot of myths, and the people use jargons that whether it is the worth doing in the, if you go to the PSU or the banking sectors, they were more sensitive to the data and availability of the data and securing the data. So many people looked into the specific things people look for, how somebody can give the guaranteed availability of the service and the data. And many of them not able to commit the required SLAs, not in terms of availability, but in terms of liability and other consequence, related things and all in the public clouds. But when you say public cloud, what kind of workloads people use it to, you are going for that loan. Suppose if I am going to have the, investment for the small infrastructures, then why should I need to build the entire, not only the infrastructure, and you need to around the people and everything, we need to create it and we need to maintain it. So SMEs and small segments, and definitely the experience will be very good, because without having anything invested, that's directly they can start the things. But in our kind of situation, what we did for the all core applications, we created a private cloud, and when we wanted to go for the sudden testing and other things, we started with the connecting our private cloud to the public cloud. So we wanted to have the benchmarking exercise, wanted to do 5,000, 10,000 TPS kind of thing. So we use and the public cloud and the fire the traffic. So this way our experience are both mixed up the private on-prem and the public cloud. I think hope we have been a good experience on the cloud, and I think we have got a lot of benefit. That's what I wanted to just give it to this forum today.
Okay, Ashok, what about your generic experience? You don't have to be very specific on what your bank is doing. Generally, what has been your experience?
One of the important factors in case of cloud is getting the right kind of skills. So every cloud is different. So if I'm using one particular cloud, I want to use some other cloud, then I need to have that kind of skill sets. But again, not going to cloud in today's age is not an option, because there are many vendors who are developing products only cloud native. These products are available and they know how to do it on cloud only. They don't know how to do it on-prem. So if you ask them, you do it in my data center, I will give you server, they don't know how to do it. So there is no option. People have to go to the cloud. But then for a bank, security is very important. You can't say that on cloud, security is for granted. It is given. It is not. So if you want to govern it, you want to regulate it, you have to create an architecture on the cloud which will be secure and adhere to your security policies and ensure that all your infrastructure on the cloud and even your SaaS services. I mean, you can't ignore that if you are taking something as a SaaS and then you will not worry about the security. Because SaaS may be offered by somebody who is a very small vendor, but he has a very nice product. And you have to ensure that yes, he's adhering to certain security things. So it is very, very important. So on the cloud, after all, it is not, things are not given. You have to choose, right? You want certain kind of services, you have to pick, choose, construct, use it in the way you are more comfortable, security-wise, comfortable, capacity-wise. Because if you are not optimized on-prem, it is not that you will get optimized automatically on the cloud. So you have to be absolutely, if you are not managing your resources on-prem, there is a chance you will not be managing your resources optimally on the cloud also. So all those capacity planning principles apply on the cloud also. Although the cloud gives you the tools to regulate it, to measure it, to use it optimally. So this is very important, because today also whatever we refer to as private cloud, it is mostly given by the virtualization. Mostly I think all the banks, all the organizations today using virtualization. And with the virtue of virtualization, we are able to provision on demand actually. We are able to provision in 5 minutes. Any server you ask me, I can provision in 2 minutes. But the issue is, after that you have to secure it, right? And major time is taken in securing that server, not provisioning that server. So that is true. On the cloud also, you can't say, I will provision a server and not secure it. You need to secure it. So these things are very important. Other thing, it can't be that you will be fully 100% cloud native. You have to be hybrid, because all of the important data is lying in your data center. And if you want to do anything, data transfer will surely take place from on-prem to the cloud. And the bandwidth costs are not cheaper. And the physics of latency will apply. If any data transfer, any connectivity you are doing from on-prem to the cloud service provider, you have to be clear that what kind of latencies to expect and what kind of bandwidths to expect. These things are very important. So I am just telling you, from anybody is planning to move to the cloud, either you can be fully on cloud, then in that case you need not worry about all of these factors. And if you are connecting to your data center, moving data to the cloud, all of this, then you need to be worry about the security aspect, this latency aspect, this bandwidth aspects, which is very, very, very important. So my advice is, anyway, you should start with something called landing zone. All these clouds give you ability to create virtual private clouds on their public cloud infrastructure, and using those you can secure it and use it. Apart from that, cloud offers something called serverless compute, which is a very important tool for a loads which are sudden peaks of load. So such requirements where you need to peak your loads and spawn multiple instances through serverless compute. These things are possible, and here you can increase your ROI. So if you use diligently, but same time, yes, skill set, I said, every organization need to build skill sets on various aspects of the cloud. It is like creating a fresh IT infrastructure, fresh IT team to use the cloud properly. And again, it is a chicken and egg story. How much you should spend for creating this skill set against how much you are using the cloud. So today this is one of the major challenges. I mean, you should start small, you should start big, or when you should create the skill sets in-house, whether you can get skill set from the market, all of these challenges are there, and I think industry is moving in the right direction to solve all those challenges.
Palani, I just wanted to add one thing which what Mr. Ashok was saying about that developer experience. Exactly, it is very important developer experience, because when you say that a Kubernetes guy, if you give a different develop environment, he will not able to do it. So this is the digital, when you do the in cloud also, the adoption, it is the developers also going to the certain kind of the areas where stick down to their own environment in the development environment. That is also create a differentiation between the cloud where you are a public cloud also you have a different kind of the environment. You need to choose what kind of environment and have a better experience to your developer community also, not only end customer.
Okay, I want to ask the same question about your experience level in IndusInd's experience in cloud adoption.
So talking about our experience, our journey so far has been encouraging. And one of the reasons for that is, we have adopted the cloud slowly and steadily, because that has given us time to actually learn the nuances of the cloud management, the terminologies, the controls, the monitoring, the performance management, and the capacity management in cloud. In some ways, they are different. It's a different vehicle, that we need to learn driving. So, in a nutshell, yeah, it has been encouraging, and we are moving forward.
Okay, so that gave some background on what the banks and NPCI are doing. So next question is, what factors should be considered? What factors will push a bank or an institution towards cloud, Rajendran? What are let's take the top 5 factors, okay? You just give me 2-3 factors where if this is a condition or situation, I think you should move to cloud. What are those factors?
See, if you are not knowing your requirement, it's uncertain. Suppose you do not know what is the growth path. And if we say the things, okay, you have some business that will have you are not able to definitely assess the requirement next 3-4 years. But if you feel the things, your business is very dynamic, yes, the cloud might be helpful to do the right one. And if we are going for the large investment on the capex, and you need to validate whether what is the long-term investment you are going to do it with the cloud and your on-prem, because both nowadays almost all the applications coming in the virtualization environment, and the cloud will be the little more than the virtualizations, and you need to find out what kind of the application you are going to first you need to decide how much you are going to invest, and both ROIs for the long term or the whatever your on-prem investment. The second thing is what kind of applications you are going to host it. Many people wanted to do.
So Rajan, we'll come to applications. So one is uncertainty, you said, and if there is large investment, maybe you can start up with a small one.
Yeah, if you just calculate, say, a large investment, if you say you are going to pay continuously, say, if you say your total investment next 5 years is going to be some X amount, but the same thing if you do it for in your own, if it comes an X minus some delta, then what is the use of going for a cloud? For that you yourself can create your own private cloud or whatever the experience you can do it. So you need to have a balancing kind of thing. That's why if you see the larger organization, they are trying to build the private cloud in the on-premises.
Okay. So Ashok, you want to add any of these factors which will push you towards cloud?
See, actually, one of the factors I already stated that applications being available only on the cloud. It's a very good application, but available only on the cloud.
There is no choice, but it's only available on cloud.
But it is available on the cloud. Other factor is those applications where sudden demand can be there. And the third case may be the application where business application for which you are not sure about. I mean, what kind of response you can get? You think it is a nice product, you will get a good response. And you can't start with some huge investment on that. So you can try it out on the cloud, and if it is really picking up, Then you can
Okay.
decide you want to be on cloud or on-prem.
Okay, Deval, you want to add a couple of points there? What?
Yeah, so I have similar views, where we see the capacity, performance could be a challenge in future. There could be spikes in requirements. There could be periods where, the requirement is less. Uh, those will be the first candidates for moving to cloud. And the other type of candidates would be, where there is a technology refresh that is due. That would be a right time to actually evaluate and decide, whether we continue on-prem or we look at the cloud option. The third factor is the external dependencies. We have partners who have solutions built on microservices and they are cloud native, where we don't have a choice but to actually, go in for the cloud.
Okay, thanks. So next question, Sanjay has been sitting patiently there. So I next want to talk about top management buy-in. I'll come to you guys later. So where all